welcome once again to another edition of the People's Political Outlet. This show gives you a forum to speak about the things that are not going so well in your community and an opportunity to change them. So today we have a special guest. How are you? Want to introduce yourself to our audience?
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I'm David Barron. During the day, I'm your city civil servant. But today, this moment here, I am just a concerned taxpayer and concerned citizen regarding issues here in our city and throughout our communities.
So let me ask you, what's going on with our DWP rates?
Well, DWP right now is going around the city trying to present the situation that they need to raise our rates in order to take care of infrastructure, which is water pipes, electrical wires, whether overhead or underground.
Well, let me just ask you a quick question. If they're raising our rates, the equipment, appliances, things that we use nowadays, isn't that drawing less energy than what it used to be some time ago?
Yes, it is. There's a program that started in 1978 that mandated to all manufacturers, architects, and builders to reduce the amount of energy that a product or a project uses. And we've done such a great job. We have saved a tremendous amount of electricity since 1978 up until today. And we're going to save some additional energy between now at the end of 2013.
Okay, so well then let me ask you this. During that time of savings, there was a certain amount of money that should be an increase as far as to the purses of DWP. What happened to that money?
That money ends up, when they raise our rates, they end up transferring that money to the city, which goes to the city council and under the direction of the city council and the mayor. And they in turn distribute that money to their pet project, which should be to their special interests, people that support them for re-election. So that's what they're really doing, is ensuring their re-election. There's no need for DWP really to raise our rates, because City Council has the option to vote no on these upcoming rates.
Well, what is this that I hear about the city's on the verge of bankruptcy?
The bankruptcy is the city's teetering on bankruptcy, and the reason for that is because the city council and the mayor hand out hundreds of millions of dollars, again, to their special interests, to their supporters, to wealthy developers to build projects, and these projects always run over budget. So it's a way to really funnel the money to them, which is our tax money, and we get no dividends out of it. We get nothing in return for it. And that money, some of it is set aside so that when re-election comes around, those developers buy these large commercials on television, radio to ensure the re-election of the political city council.
Okay, I have a question for you. Watch this. Now, since you've worked and do work on the inside, being the system, can you please answer this question? If the poor and the working poor have to continuously be the Bank of America, the ATM machine, why then are we as citizens not treated at least like partners?
The answer to that is they have no respect for the residents. They are simply ensuring their re-election when they really should be serving us, because they are the servant. We are the employers. We pay their salary, right. So therefore we're the employers. They should be servicing us and managing that the funds that come into City Hall to the general fund.
What's your perspective on unemployment?
Well, unemployment, it's a big contributor of that. High unemployment here in the city of Los Angeles is due to the city council's policies that they issue almost daily, weekly, when they hold sessions there at the city council chambers. What they're doing is they raise taxes so high, especially the city business tax, is so high, it just drives employers out of town, which creates unemployment because they shut their doors down and the employees have nowhere to go but the unemployment line.
In the future, if it keeps going this way, what will happen to our society?
But I see eventually that we have elections coming up probably in about a year for a new mayor and even city council members. Half of them at least will up for re-election. What will happen is the new entering mayor and city council members are going to have to deal literally with probably bankruptcy, which is coming, probably we'll have to face it in 2013. There's no need for that because the city, since 2005 up until now, have been breaking records of revenue coming into the city. So it's not a revenue problem. Even despite this recession that we have right now, the city every year from 2005, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 2012, income maintains at an all-time high.
So the money that comes in, and we had a show that we did some time ago, and we got information about monies that come into the city, but the people never know about it, and then the people in political office then shuffle that money to areas that they want to shuffle it to. How do we as citizens get to know what money comes in, why it comes in, what it's to be used for?
The answer to that would be to get the citizens involved more into neighborhood councils. Neighborhood councils are extremely important because it's a way to try to get more information, more knowledge about what goes on in the inside. And also from the neighborhood councils, we can extract people in there that are available to run for office so that we get some ethical people, just regular people that from the community, people that maybe are working by the hour, people that, I mean, as they say, it could be a coach, somebody coaching the kids. You don't have to have, say, a master's degree or PhD degree, because we look at the city council, I'm sure every one of them in there has a college degree, master's degree, associate's arts degree, but you look at 15 of them with all that knowledge put together and they are not able to balance the city.
You know, which brings me to another question. Just from your perspective, let's look at the regular layman versus a career politician, okay? And what I'd really like to know is, because I know some of the politicians that come in to office, come in, you know, with a heart to really change things, do things, but it always seems that the campaign shows one face, and then after the politicians, and I'm not saying all of them, but a lot of them, once they get into the seat, then they're not doing nearly what they said they were going to do. What do you think the difference would be if someone, regular layman, that had a heart to change the community, if they had the opportunity to get that seat versus the well-educated politician that stays in office year after year?
Well, the regular layman can get inside there. Just again, having the, of course, you have to be ethical and the passion to want to serve the public, and you're going to have the backing of the neighborhood council in your area, plus the rest of the neighborhood councils. We have a coalition of all 95 neighborhood councils throughout the city, so you're going to have their support. And all that knowledge there together, you'll get to learn more about what's going inside. And now the fact that you have a elected representative from the community that's inside city council chambers, they will be able to view and even expose misappropriation of funds that are going on. We don't have to wait for our controller to spot that out, to point that out. We can do it ourselves, but because you're going to have a councilman that will report to the people that the way you're supposed to do. And that's why the neighborhood councils were created, for that for that reason. But the city officials don't want their participation because they don't want them to get too strong, and they don't want the neighborhood council telling them what to do.
Okay, people, so get the message. You must get out and vote. and vote for your local people that are coming into office. And while we have politicians that have been in the seat for many, many, many terms, we need to give a chance to those new people that are coming in that really want to change things. And like you said, it has to start with a passion.
Yes.
To
Yes.
want to be fair, you have to be ethical. All of these things have to be in place. Because I know one thing that has happened that I've seen over and over again is certain politicians will feed money to certain organizations, and other organizations in the community that need don't get, but you get those that continuously get over and over and over again. So I like to go to another question, because I know I've been to some of the meetings and I hear about our crime rate going down, which is wonderful. How do you think that plays in on hiring new officers?
The crime rate going down, we can improve on that. The figures of crime rates are done a little different than they were before. When you hear the numbers about crime going down, let's say they say a 40% drop. Back several years back, it's when Daryl Gates was chief of police. They came up. He was talking about when they came up with a new program on how to analyze crime. For example, there might be 5 crime incidents in a maybe 2-3 square block area. They
Okay.
count that as one crime instead of individual crimes.
I see.
That's how they dropped the crime rate down. And also, we got to give credit to the 3 strikes law. 3 strikes law are putting a lot of those habitual criminals, keeping them behind in prison, and that helps contribute to the crime. But to improve that, let's say we're having there's this figure, a plain number, 300. There's 300 crimes this month, and it went down 100 to 150. So we say there's been 150%, or rather 50% drop in crime rate. It sounds terrific hearing 50% drop, but you still have 150 incidents of crime. We can improve that by hiring the ideal number of 12,000 officers, not 10 that the mayor is trying to expound to. It's 12,000 officers that we really need based on our 4 million population here in the city of Los Angeles, because New York has 35,000 officers.
Well, I really have to give it to the men and women in the blue. It's not a job that I personally want. I work with gang youth and at-risk youth, as well as, special needs folks, and that's my true passion. But when I look at an officer, I look at a target on their back. And,
Yes.
and
Yes.
to the person that's doing okay in the community, the police officers are their allies. But to those people that are doing dirt, they're their enemies. And
Yes.
so anytime the officers reach out to do their job, it seems that they get the short end of the stick there. And definitely not having enough of them in the street to combat the crime. That seems to be not a good thing, especially in that there are weapons that are in the street. Like we had a couple crimes. I think it was a bank robbery in North Hollywood some years ago, and the police had to go to the pawn shops to get some artillery because they didn't have the gunpowder that the bad guys had. So, I take my hat off to them because
Yes, I do too.
Yeah,
Yes.
they do put their life on the line every day, and
Yes.
I've run into officers too that just give you a bad time. There's good and bad in everything.
Correct.
And I think,
Correct.
weeding out the bad is the deal, but every officer shouldn't be looked at, in the same eyes as someone that is really putting in the work and really cares about their community.
And we shouldn't get lax just because crime is, some of the statistics show that crime is down. We shouldn't have to just lax off on our hiring. We should have a strong force so we can show the criminal that we have a strong presence here. We're ready to prevent any crime there. We can flood the streets instead of having the criminal flood the streets. Let's reverse it. Let's put the people in blue out there in the streets so we can all have safe communities and give that extra support to those officers who really risk their lives out there.
And on that note, we'll be right back. We're going to take a commercial break.
Hi, I'm Nina Royal, publisher and editor of the North Valley Reporter. We are a small neighborhood paper. It comes out monthly. And if you're a small business, this would be the perfect place for you to advertise. My telephone number is area code 818-563-1962. And our website is www.northvalleyreporter.com. Visit it and you will find everything you want to know about the North Valley Reporter. Thank you.
If you didn't know, neighborhood councils were created to help improve your communities. We have funds available for projects that are important to you. We also have the ability to bring other resources provided by the city. So be part of the solution and become a member of your local neighborhood council.
Welcome back to another edition of the People's Political Outlet. Welcome back to another edition of the People's Political Outlet. Let's get back into our conversation. Tell me your thoughts on after-school programming.
After-school programs are terrific, I believe. They give a lot of recreation for the kids after schools. We have plenty of those going on. We have LA's Best. We have Parks and Recreation. Those should stay in place. There shouldn't be any cut in funding for those programs. They take place right on school grounds, Parks and Recreation, and a lot of city properties that have areas where they can, in fact, even run arts programs in there. So they're important, and I would strongly always defend that and support that.
Well, right now I like to park my car in that parking lot because we have Heroes of Life, which is a multimedia and music production program for youth and young adults. And so, just based on your conversation, I definitely, will speak up for our organization and what we do with young people because we're giving them skills that can then turn into real jobs. And in our economy, and also in that job market where a lot of people are losing their jobs, having knowledge on production, which the internet is basically production in a huge way.
Yes.
So if you have the skills and the ability to do audio, to do video, editing, film, that type of thing, you can strike up your own work. Even if you're without work, you can find your own jobs, by creating new people as clients.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in this day and age with technology as fast as it's advancing, the arts are extremely important and a big contributor to our economy.
Speaking of knowledge and programs, what is your thought on the whole issue with the adult education?
Oh, adult education right now, I think the school board certainly wants to cut that out. Well, it's not really the school board to say, it's really our elected officials in Sacramento, our assemblymen, our senators. They're the ones that really have the answer to that. They make the decisions. They're the ones that really. We have a school board let's say that runs those policies down here locally, but it's really the legislators up in Sacramento, not our city council, but our legislators in Sacramento.
Okay,
that make that work.
Okay, let me stop you for a second because in our business, there's a thing called signal flow. So it's how the plug comes out of the mixing board and goes into the amplifier and then goes into the equalizer. Okay, that's how the signal flows. How does the money flow when it comes to education coming from the state, city? I'm not really knowledgeable of that. Can you share? Because I know if I'm not, I know our audience isn't. So if you could share with our audience how the money flows and how it's designed to be used.
Well, that money is designed, it's allocated for all our core services throughout our cities and our counties, throughout the entire state, for all departments. And part of it, as you say, for the arts programs, for schools. That money is allocated and decisions are made in Sacramento by our legislators, just simple as that. They're the ones that make the decisions. And they encourage, or they can encourage the school board on that. They're supposed to be an really independent, and they should be independent, the school board. And they should be demanding in Sacramento the importance of having that money not cut off on anything that has to do with education. Education is so priceless and important. It's like teaching an apprentice to take over when the master is either retires or continues on another project. Now that apprentice can go, becomes a journeyman and learns, whether it's a woman or a man.
To the audience, you must understand that knowledge is power. And on this show, the information that we're all receiving should perk us up and give us a new level of energy to find out exactly and to understand exactly how things work, so that we can hold our elected officials accountable to what truly is supposed to happen. Not slamming anyone, but all of our elected officials have taken a seat to represent us as the people. And so whether they get caught up in their day-to-day work or whatever it is, we as citizens should be able to hold them accountable to make sure that what is supposed to happen happens. That's really hard to do if you don't vote. That's really hard to do if you have no idea of how things are actually supposed to work. So, you know, I really want to thank you for breaking down some of these, as we call it, money flow, signal flow, and just show people how things are actually supposed to be working to give the regular working class person information on what needs to take place to be fair to us.
Yes.
And how about bus transportation? What's your viewpoint?
Bus transportation right now has been cut back quite a bit, especially into the more needy areas. And when we say that, that's more of the lower income areas. It's been done unfairly. The city council, again, the mayor and city council have made those policies through the Metropolitan Transit Authority, to the point where it's been cut back so drastically that President Obama's chief of transportation even made a comment about our mayor, saying that our mayor may have violated the civil rights of a lot of our residents who need that bus transportation in these areas, since a lot of them don't have vehicles. And we're trying to promote transportation. We're trying to say, get out of your vehicles. Well, these people need that, and the MTA cut back drastically on that, and they shouldn't do that.
I've heard in the breeze, voices that are speaking about the funds that city, county workers are dealing with when it comes to their transportation, fuel, and all of those benefits that they get as employees of the city and the county. What are your viewpoints on that?
I didn't quite understand the question.
Well, it's like there would be a savings of money that would be able to be given to our city, or that if people that work for the city and or county, and other companies for that matter, that are given credit cards to purchase any amount of fuel, cars, instead of using their own car, they're using city cars. So it's just all that cost going out the door.
Yes.
When in fact, if they use their own car, they could write that off on their taxes. I just want to know what your viewpoint is on that.
Regarding that, that's I guess we can say being a good steward of the money, of the taxpayers' money, because that's our money we give to the city. The city in turn gives it to some of the employees that go out there and use vehicles, have to do other chores out there that entail, maybe some have credit cards for more convenience. That might be okay. However, what would improve on that, if we really got participation, for example, getting members from our neighborhood council or from our neighbors in our neighborhood, get a member in every department so they can oversee. So we have somebody from the neighborhood, like you and I, you take care of the MTA, you take care of bus transportation, I take care of over here of the housing department. So all the different departments should have a member in there alongside with the commissioners of all those departments. So we can be the overseer of that, because that's our money. that we should have no opposition to that.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of neighborhood councils, what is your thought on the transparency of neighborhood councils? Because truly, that would be the window in which the local citizen can look through to understand what should be in effect and what's truly in effect.
And neighborhood councils, again, are very useful. They're very important because they do have the best interests on the side of the public. And again, because you are dealing with human nature, certainly we all have flaws. And again, we have the checks and balances within our own neighborhood councils. That's why we have a large board, a lot of members on the board of a neighborhood council. And we have subcommittees, so you're not one person making all the decisions. So neighborhood councils are extremely important, and we need the support of our elected officials, the council members and the mayor, to give us that support, and they can show us that support. If they really wanted us to exist and want us to participate in city government, they would fund us fully, not to just give us, say, $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 when they're sending millions of dollars to other parts of the out of this country. They're doing that almost and pretty often, pretty regularly. You can look on the city council minutes, and you can see 1.4 million leaving our California and going off into other countries.
See, audience, once again, there's information that we need to know about, because I'm willing to believe if you knew that there were millions of dollars being sent out the door, when in fact it's really something that's put in place to be used for our benefit, more people from the community would stand up and they would have a voice. And one of my last thoughts is, what's your thought on equestrians and open space?
Again, it's another lifestyle. The equestrian lifestyle is it's just another lifestyle. You have the suburbs where you have individual tract homes, you have apartments, you have manufacturing. Equestrian, open space should be again intact, and it is taken care of within our Los Angeles Municipal Code under Chapter 1. It's called the zoning code, and code means the same thing. It just means law. We already have laws in place to take care of our entire city. We don't need to, when they start doing exemptions or asking you to vote for another proposition, what they're really doing is they're trying to get around the law, the existing law that was designed so that we can have unity, that we can have harmony throughout the city. And so that's a red flag when you see a proposition to say, like the one that just came by not too long ago called Senate Bill 1818. That's just another way to get around to put a lot of apartment units in a little small area, and they say, you know, we don't need all this extra parking. We can get away with it by having this this other exemption. It's an exemption from the law is what it is, and they call it Senate Bill 1818.
Okay, so let me just stop you, because we're running out of time. Give me one example of something that needs to be changed and some steps into changing.
Senate Bill 1818 should be repealed. We already have a law in place that creates harmony in our city, which is the Los Angeles Municipal Code. There's a lot of codes in there that are probably useless now. We ought to purge those. But 1818, real quick for the audience to understand, the law says that you have a certain amount of earth here, a parcel we call it, and you can put maybe 50 units in there, and maybe for each bedroom you need, let's say, 2 parking spaces for each bedroom. So let's say you have 50 bedrooms there, you need 200 spaces, 100 spaces there for parking. What Senate Bill 1818 does is it says, well, you don't have to have 100 parking spaces. All you need is maybe 60 spaces in there. So they're getting around that. What that does is puts more money into the pockets of these developers, and they get this money from our tax money and gives it to them. They in turn put up this project at no cost out of their pocket, and they just find ways to build something so they can make a big profit, and we have to suffer with no parking. Can't find parking in our neighborhood.
Okay, so this is what we're going to do. we're going to send a camera crew to follow you on that quest to deal with that bill.
Mhm.
And we're going to come back in about 3 to 6 months with a follow-up show to find out exactly how far you've made it with regard to changing things to the positive for the community. I'd like to thank you once again for allowing us to come into your home. Hope that you got some information that's going to be helpful to you. Check out the phone number if you have any interest in getting more information or helping out in the effort to make things more fair for the common person. So the next time, take care.